Sonia Barrett here, and I just thought I would send out some well wishes in welcoming in the new cycle of 2016. And so I thought I would talk about rebooting, resetting the matrix cycles 2016. Well, yes, we all realize, well, most of us anyway, who are people who are watching this video, are aware of the fact that we do talk about the fact that time is an illusion and that there is no time. But at the same time, what we also have to remember is that we are networked into a series of cycles, and those cycles create some sort of pattern, some sort of reoccurring pattern. And all of that exists in order for us to have the human experience in the manner in which we are currently having it. So it's allowing us to have the illusion of one moment to the next. It is how we get to experience being human and all of the emotions that are involved in being human at the level one experience, as I like to call it, the level one human experience. And so I think with realizing that, or with keeping that in mind, and not, just simply dismissing the new cycle, because guess what? Even though you may dismiss it, there is a part of you, there is the subconscious mind programming, and also our core collective programming, and the manner in which we are wired into the human experience that there's a reminder there. There is a coding there for this construct. So when we go through our 365-day cycle, regardless of at what point we decided to make the 365-day cycle, whether it was from the month of February to the month of February, or however it's set up, there is still a cycle in place. There are patterns in place, and so we can look at it also as a rebooting process or resetting process, resetting and rebooting, just like a computer. And in this case, every reset or reboot, each time the cycle it starts over again, and even though it starts over, it's an evolving cycle. So it starts over, but what are we doing? We're counting the years, from the time when we started actually counting these calendar years up until now, and we call it 2016, whether that's specifically correct or not. And we all know that that's not really correct. We don't really know exactly, if we were to calculate time or calculate number of cycles, there really is no definite uh, number with as much carbon dating and so on that's been done. But anyway, the point is, for us humans, we are now wired with the idea of 365 days, and it starts over again. And same thing that happens obviously with the day of your birth, you go through that cycle as well. So in entering these new cycles, that's why people attempt to do New Year's resolution. You don't think of it that way, but what you're aiming to do is also reset your behavior, reset some of your programs, the ones that are obvious to you anyway. That is what you're attempting to do, is to reset and to reboot yourself, even though we're resetting and rebooting all the time. Every time we blink, we are somehow being reset and rebooted. The thing with all of that is, it's not obvious to us what happens or what changes, um, because they might be minimal changes, but who knows just how much that we observe or that we see is really consistent with what happened a moment ago. It's really interesting how we're wired, or how the brain filters and allows us to see um, certain experiences or certain components of what we define as reality. So it is a resetting. So you can welcome the new year, the new cycle in a different way. I'm not talking from the commercial standpoint or from maybe necessarily the religious standpoint, but just an overall recognition and a realization that there's some sort of rebooting and resetting that's going on. And we can even we can take that a step further in the various years. That each year we can look at some of the themes that play out during the 365 um, days. And yes, a lot of those themes are media driven themes. Nonetheless, people get caught up in those themes, and those themes somehow impact us on levels that we do not even realize. Even regardless of how aware we are, we filter it out as much as possible, but some of it pops in. So it's really, I think, great to recognize how everything is really running. It's running based on cycles, themes, different kinds of themes, whether it's, in our reality, it always seems to be a war theme going on and different levels of that war theme, even when there is no war going on. It seems like there's always a brewing for a war. This is obviously a war based reality, as I've often said, because it is about lots of opposition, and opposition tends to trigger conflicts, always conflicts going on, conflicts and competition. Anyway, so keeping all of that in mind, it's not something to be afraid of. It's not any of that. It's to just have your eyes open and be aware that it is a resetting, rebooting. Now, if you can pay attention and see on the collective scale what is being projected to you in terms of what themes are going to happen, and we've seen weather themes, we've seen with earthquakes, like at the beginning of the year, catastrophes in different places. There's a pattern with certain things, regardless of the fact that they probably are being initiated by some other creator. And when I say creator, I'm not even talking outside of this time and space. I'm talking within our own um, realm here, our own space here. So there's lots of layers there, and you can determine to what degree you are impacted by much of what is being projected in these new cycles, but you can't do it if you are not aware, if you are in constant conflict and opposition with the with the cycles. Bah humbug. It's not about that, because when we do that, what do? We play right into the hands of the game. And of course, many people have heard me over the years. I'm always talking about the fact that, it is all a game. Well, all of the things that I've said for many, many years, yes, they're now becoming more prominent as our scientists are also now discussing more about the virtual nature of reality, that it is very much like a video game, and we are involved in in that video game. And what do? Yes, we turn around and we replicate the entire experience through video games, through various kinds of games. And we can see that the video games there's a lot of evolution that has happened to the games in terms of not just the stories in these video games, but in terms of even the visual effect. Eventually, there'll be texture. You'll be able to really engage. Our level of engagement then with video games are stepping up. They continue to get progressively more interactive until eventually, besides the holographic projection that will probably occur, which they already have, but besides that, in terms of video games, being done from a holographic standpoint, then there'll be more ways to get in really involved in that video games and really become part of it. They already say that children who are really invested in playing video games, that their brains have actually taken it on, that that is a relevant reality to them. The brain now recognizes that as a reality. The video games that they're so heavily invested in, and to some degree, some with the kids that are really, I mean, they're really consumed by it. That begins to become more of their reality versus the reality that you and I are more familiar with. So we can see a lot of evolution here in terms of technology. It's nothing to be feared, but it is to be understood and to understand how we are networked into the bigger technology, and and see how this new cycle and all cycles are unfolding, and what it is that you choose to do. How do you choose to reboot yourself? How do you choose to reset yourself, your programs, your challenges, your beliefs? What are they centered around? How am I planning to really change that? And I think even though oftentimes I may not give you step one, steps two, step three, um, I like to say, even in the 5 minute reboot videos that I do, what I was explaining is the information, when the information is really understood, what I'm saying, when it's really taken in, you will find that within the context of everything that I've said is the information on exactly what you will need to do. Now, what you may need to do may be a bit different. There might be some uniqueness to the approach that you need to take than maybe someone else, even though there probably are going to be core some core ways, then some core formulas, but maybe approach differently, because it is about changing your mind, getting the mind to change from particular behavior or belief or pattern or perception, and that comes with acquiring more knowledge, more information, waking up your own database of information. I'm not even going to say waking up, because that information is always there and alive. It's just a matter of what is tuned into, no differently than tuning into a radio station. What is your what frequency are you tuned into? And so I really wanted to just throw that at you. Oh, and one more thing, in terms of the rebooting process, one other thing, when I say that we reboot and reset all the time, is the what is it, 15-minute break, as geez, what's his name? Dr. Oh my gosh, Rossi, Dr. Ernest Rossi always talks about, is that 15-minute break is necessary in from, what was it? I think every hour and 20 minutes or so, every 90 minutes or so, that 15-minute break is necessary. So when you override it with coffee or something else, you do actually throw yourself off from the rebooting that is necessary. So we reboot all the time, and that's why when you're working and you get tired, and I get it, you sit in front of the computer and you get agitated because your body, your brain, your mind, it all needs to shut down, or step away from the constant focus of what you're doing for it to reboot. Your computer does it, right? When you're typing in Word, what does it do? It automatically saves. There's a lot of different scenarios or similarities all around us. It's going on all the time. But we become so invested in um, our focus of whatever life is handed to us within that moment, or within whatever cycle that you're experiencing, that we get caught up in those cycles, and that becomes our total reality, and we become very consumed. We're encased in that experience, so you can't see anything other than what that moment, what you're trying to get through. But all of this is there for you. The understanding is there. It's all inside of you. It's around you. It's in everything. And we just need to begin to really awaken to that. And for anybody out there who says, yes, that's all well and good, but there's a lot going on in the world. Yes, there's a lot going on in the world, as we put it, um, for a great many people, a great many situations. But what are you doing about the aspect of the world that actually affects you? What if you work with the part of your world, your space, everything that is around you in terms of the world that you interact with? What if you make those changes? Is it possible that there is a ripple effect, um, in different ways? Maybe not in the bigger, massive picture, because everybody is here as a free agent having a particular kind of experience. And all of this is happening, yes, for a reason. All of the madness and the chaos and the wonderfulness, as Louis Armstrong sings, my one of my favorite songs is "What a Wonderful World." So when all is said and done, there is beauty in the human experience, just the fact that we are here in this experience that everybody is aiming to figure out, is trying to understand what it is, who we are. And for those people who are or just really invested in a religious belief, that's okay too, because that it gives them something, gives them hope, it gives them structure, it gives them somebody has figured it out for them, and they don't want to have to step outside of that. So whatever is handed to them, that works for them. But for those of us who realize that the greater works, we are doing the greater works, and the greater works is to understand this human experience, to transcend out of the limiting and limited human experience, that aspect. Not good or bad, we are just aiming to evolve back into ourselves, what we already are, which is the very thing that we are looking for, the fabric of creation. That is what we are manifesting in this form, in this particular experience. So, once again, I wish you amazing evolutionary adventures, and just do some resetting. Just make a list of those things that you really would like to change. Um, don't beat up on yourself. Just recognize the things and the patterns and the experiences that you feel that you've completed and you no longer need. Not about the other person. Don't make it about the other person. It's about you. That other person is only there to support the reality that you think that you still need. That is what they're there for. So you change your mind and begin to change the behavior, the patterns, um, everything that is supporting that experience, and go from there. So have a wonderful entry into 2016, the new cycle. Until next time, be sure to check out spiritinform.com. I almost forgot to mention that, spiritinform.com. Also, check out the daily 5-minute reboot. You are able to subscribe to that on my website, spiritinform.com. Go there and you can subscribe, and every day you will receive a 5-minute video. It's called the Daily 5-Minute Reboot that really goes into just a variety of things. So every single day for 365 days in the cycle. All right, so that's it. See you then.